Okay, so question 3 says, can the pursuit of the highest good transform human identity? Okay, so we looked at conscience and its connection to um, uh, character, essentially. And identity develops through repeated choices and, uh, and as such, habits that will then lead into creating behavior, and behavior that is analogous to essentially your mode of being, which is a abstract, overarching analysis of uh, how it is that you orient yourself within the world, um, and instantiation within the immediate environment. So, um, this is it just ties in further to uh, how it is that conscience is something that could be uh, looked at as a, a thought process that is essential in just governing our own being and psychological state. And it's something that's malleable. Uh, it can be shaped and formed given the types of choices that you continually make throughout your day to day lives and just your lifespan overall. And what we've gotten into or tried to explain is that the more it is that you deviate from this conscience or this inner clarity or thought process that's taking place with you, um, it's it creates a psyche that is distorted from the consciousness that's trying to, or just trying to enable you to align with the highest aim or highest good, essentially. And that develops into identity and character and just the individual characteristic traits that make up your specific psyche in itself. So, but conscience is it's uh it's the abstract representation of the aspect of the psyche that could be aligned with the highest good, the highest aim. And there is no limit, there's no upper limit to that, essentially, with the individual or with the collective makeup of the community and society at large. And so what we see is that these um, characteristic traits that essentially enable survival for our biological state, such as, sacrifice. Human beings conceptualized a long time ago that sacrifice in the present for the future, it enables the possibility for extended longevity of the uh, human entity in itself. And we see that um, love has a part to play as well in uh, human social integration, in terms of developing a bond that allows for the rearing of offspring over an extended period of time. And there's also responsibility, carrying your burden as uh, forthrightly and nobly as possible, um, is the best possible or optimal option to take given any type of specific intense pressure or or struggle with different types of obstacles. And there's also service to others. Um, you know, we see that adding value is something that's twofold. In, for example, just what it is that I'm trying to accomplish with these videos, adding value to the uh, community adds value to yourself as well, and that's true for a psychological state, domestic or household circumstance or situation, and economically as well, within different types of markets, um, uh, with individuals and their specific intellectual proclivities and how it is that they um, uh, go about a career. Uh, you don't necessarily get paid for um, the position. You get paid for the value that you add to the market and the socioeconomic landscape in itself. And so what you can notice is that service and adding value to the landscape in itself is directly proportion to uh, the monetary gain, given the degree of service that's being uh, given or added to the landscape in itself, the landscape or structure, um, socioeconomic structure in itself. All right, and we can also look at whether psychological maturity culminates in spiritual maturity. This has its roots in the connection to psychological state and spiritual state. What you can conclude from these videos is that psychological structure and maturity and alignment with the highest good and uh, acting in accordance with conscience uh, is a form of spiritual maturity in itself as well. So the psychological state and spiritual state in themselves are connected that in that specific way. And so what we see is that psychology and spirituality, although are different specific types of abstract representations of human orientation and mode of being, do have their uh, relationship in terms of understanding the human psyche um, individually, as well as how it is that that permeates to the wider community and collective conscience in itself. And most of all, just looking at how it is that human beings organize themselves. What exactly is it that we're doing? You know, in relation and proportion to everyone else. What is the overarching goal as a species that could be looked at as well? Um, so, yes, that would be the three questions that we covered. Um, yeah, like I said in the introduction, this was a a video that would conclude the overarching conceptualization taking place with these discussions that had occurred. And it became apparent to me that this was much more than just individual discussions. Their they had their roots in the psychological state, human psyche, conscience, and the overarching conceptualization of the divine in itself. And so that allowed for these specific discussions to be um, just tied together that way to present an overarching conceptual thematic approach to the exposition and explanation of conscience, psychological state, and the human psyche um, in its essence, essentially. So, yes. Um, with these talks, I do hope to accomplish just providing as much insight from my own individual experiences as possible and my own thought processes and what it is that I've done in terms of academic research into these specific types of subject matter. Um, and I will be working on other research as well. I'm in the middle of writing a paper right now. Um, and like I said, I'm not a psychologist. Um, I I'm just immensely and eternally curious about uh, um, different types of abstractions and how it is that they can be overlaid onto the social landscape in order to create a specific type of outcome for my specific mode of being. But I'm actually, uh, I actually studied economics and statistics. I have a bachelor's degree. And so most of my research papers will be uh, re- related to those specific types of academic conceptualizations. Um, and mm, yes, and yes, I will be uploading videos pertaining to these specific uh, socioeconomic uh, conceptualizations as well in the future. Okay, thanks for watching this video. Have a wonderful day. Bye.